good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. It's our nighttime devotion. We're reading from the devotional Conflict and Courage. The title today, Reunion. The scripture reading comes from Ephesians 4:32. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, have forgiven you. While Jacob was wrestling with the angel, another heavenly messenger was sent to Esau. In a dream, Esau beheld his brother for 20 years an exile from his father's house. He witnessed his grief at finding his mother dead. He saw him encompassed by the hosts of God. This dream was related by Esau to his soldiers, with the charge not to harm Jacob, for the God of his father was with him. The two companies at last approached each other, the desert chief leading his men of war, and Jacob with his wives and children, attended by shepherds and handmaidens, and followed by long lines of flocks and herds. Leaning upon his staff, the patriarch went forward to meet the band of soldiers. He was pale and disabled from his recent conflict, and he walked slowly and painfully, halting at every step, but his countenance was lighted up with joy and peace. At sight of that crippled sufferer, Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. As they looked upon the scene, even the hearts of Esau's rude soldiers were touched. Notwithstanding he had told them of his dream, they could not account for the change that had come over their captain. Though they beheld the patriarch's infirmity, they little thought that this, his weakness, had been his strength. In his night of anguish beside the Jabbok, when destruction seemed just before him, when destruction seemed just before him, Jacob had been taught how vain is the help of man, how groundless is all trust in human power. He saw that his only help must come from him, whom he had so grievously sinned. Helpless and unworthy, he pleaded God's promise of mercy to the repentant sinner. That promise was his assurance that God would pardon and accept him. Sooner might heaven and earth pass than that word would fail. And it was this that sustained him through that fearful conflict. Reunion. So prior to Esau and Jacob coming together, Jacob was fearful for his life and the life of his family that Esau would have retaliation and maybe kill them all. Esau had a dream, and God basically in the dream showed him that he was with Jacob. He was looking after Jacob, and Esau should not touch him. And so Esau in turn gave instruction to his soldiers to not harm Jacob, because God, the God of his father, was with him. Now, we read previously that the night before this very reunion, Jacob had wrestled with the angel throughout the night and wrestled for his blessing and did get his blessing. And by getting his blessing, he gained the favor of God. And this is also the same night that Esau was given a dream. So while Jacob was wrestling for his blessing, Esau was being told that Jacob had father's blessing. And so, as we see at the end, Jacob learnt the hard way how vain it was to rely on man. Because man has no power. He's a source of nothing. And everything, strength, power, love, all comes from the Father. And it says, helpless and unworthy, he pleaded God's promise of mercy to a repentant sinner. You and me. We can also plead God's mercy for us, the unworthy sinners. Let's pray God does bless us. And I will see you in heaven.